Decide on what it is you want to manifest. That's what I'm going to be talking about today. Welcome, I'm Dan. I talk about things. I like to focus on self-development, living intentionally, conscious awareness, manifestation, all that good stuff. And today I really want to focus on one thing. It is decide. Decision. Decide on what it is you want to manifest. The life that you want to live. The life of the dreams that you have wanted to for so long, but aren't quite experiencing it right now in this 3D. Well, you can have it. All you need to do is just decide. Here's the thing. A lot of us, when we want something, we get wishy-washy about it because we worry about the how we're going to do it. We don't have to worry about the how. The universe is going to take care of all of that. What you need to do, what your job is decide on what you want. You just simply choose it. Have you ever heard of this parallel reality? And there are a lot of different theories on how this works. But it doesn't even matter exactly how it works because it does. And manifestation is so simple because I've seen it happen before my own eyes. You've seen countless different testimonies on how it all works, which is you simply have to decide. Where people get tripped up is the resistance to it. Oftentimes they look at what's the resistance. Society almost brainwashes us into thinking that there's a logical way in how these things coordinate together to bring it to fruition. But let me tell you, I've been in situations where it seems like it is impossible for the situation, whatever it is, to work out. Something that I wanted to manifest so badly, but I knew, like logically, it's probably gonna be impossible. But it just opened up and allowed, it worked. But what you need to first do is simply decide. And I know in my own life, oftentimes in the past, I've come to these crossroads where I get stuck. If you are an overthinker, if you have anxiety about trying to figure something out, I want you to hear this. Just simply decide. Because everything else is going to work in your favor. Everything else is going to be taken care of. That's how simple manifestation is. Now, there's a lot of different techniques. There's visualization. There's scripting. There is meditation. There is imagining, inner conversations, and then there's the repetitive methods, affirmations that you can do. You can write things out. All of those things, all those techniques are just to help you really get into the feeling and embodiment of that identity, that version of you that already has all these things. But the key thing here is still you need to decide what it is that you want. You need to decide that. So I want this to be motivation and inspiration for you. Whatever it is, no limits, whatever it is that you can think of, that you want, you can have. I want you to know that. You can have. But you need to decide on what it is. So we decide on what it is. And then our brain starts churning, right? Then we get a lot of different thoughts coming up like, I don't know if that can happen because, that job is paying me, I'm making this amount of money, but that job that I really want is paying me double that salary. How can I go from this to that? Well, maybe I have to take 5 or 10 years to be able to work my way up the ladder, every year get a promotion. That's just an example. But as you can see, that's how society brainwashes us to think. And guess what? Whatever we think, whatever decide that it to be true is going to be true. And that's why so many people live in that reality where they do take 5, 10 years to move up the corporate ladder, to slowly get an increase in salary. Just an example. Same thing with specific people, same thing with relationships, same thing with social, same thing with every part. Manifesting a house, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter that it's not just about manifesting. It's actually about living that reality that you want to live. That dream life, that dream reality you want to live, it is possible for you. So you need to know that and believe that and trust in yourself. But you just have to decide to go for it. Now, when you decide to go for something, what I like to think of is the next step is really have a very clear picture on what it is you want, decide that that's what you're going to have, know that it's already yours, and then let it happen. Let it happen. I'm going to go more in depth about let it happen in another video, but I want to focus on the first part. Decide, because you know that it can happen. How it happens, how it comes in, that's not your job. Now, the one thing that I will recommend is that you take some action to boost that energy out into the universe, because as soon as you do that, that is going to be reflected back to you. That shows your intention, that you've decided on that thing. It doesn't even matter if that action that you take is going to lead towards that manifestation that you are trying to manifest, that reality that you want to live in. They might not be linked. Remember, the universe has countless ways to coordinate different things, and oftentimes we can't control that. So let's not even think about that. Again, I'm going to go in depth on that in another time. But today, I really want you to focus on this, is to decide. Make a decision. Don't let, like, I can tell you, even from my own experience, my brain just works in a way where it just overthinks, goes to the worst case scenario. Or maybe even it's not the worst case scenario. I just think of every logical explanation on why I would pursue this, but the pros and the cons, but the cons will hold me back of this. I should do that. That will take too much time. That will take too much effort. This will be a little bit easier. This will be, all of those things hold me back from deciding to actually walk. Remember, we have so many choices. We have so many paths to take. You just need to make a decision. Just like how I decided, I'm going to give you a prime example. I've been wanting to make a YouTube channel on this for a very long time. And what held me back was fear of, if other people knew what I was sort of doing here, making this type of content, they're going to look at me funny. All of these kind of doubts in my mind crept in. The embarrassment crept in. So that held me back. I love being in front of a camera. I have actually made YouTube videos before. Other channel, and I grew that. And if you found me from there, wonderful. Well, welcome. But so I do have some experience with, editing and YouTube videos and that sort of thing. But I have attempted to start a channel in different niches, in different topics that I thought would be more relatable, would be more palatable, would be more accepted in mainstream society, would be easier for other people to understand and digest. Because a lot of people out there think that this kind of stuff is woo-woo, right? But for me, I've seen it work. I know it's true. I've heard of testimonies. I've seen it before my eyes. And I've been able to experience the magic of it. So I want to share that with all of you. And so, I was having a rough week. I'm going to be honest with you. Actually, not even a rough week, just rough 2 days. And there are a few things in my 3D reality that circumstance that kind of like triggered me. And it got me into this like kind of anxious cycle and loop. And it started that overthinking mind, overactive thinking of the worst case scenario. Oh man, like if this happens, I can't possibly do that. I can't possibly do this. There were so many things that happened in my mind, that brain, that kept me from doing this. I actually started this channel yesterday doing not a completely different topic, but making videos on something that was like much more sad, something that I wasn't quite too excited about. I mean, I wanted to share, but it just kind of had no direction because I was afraid. I was simply afraid of like, well, if I make this type of video, and it is going to be a success. I know it will be. But once it gets to that point and people start finding my content, oh man, like, what are they going to think? Those were just doubts. Don't listen to the doubts. Remember, you are the creator of your reality. Also, we're going to get into that another time, but it is already done. Everything's already done. Creation is finished. You're just choosing to align with the reality you want to live in. And so that's the decision that you need to make. That's the decision I made. I decided to make this YouTube channel, finally launch it in what I've wanted to make for the longest time possible. And I hope you can see the excitement on my face because it's finally done. It's my first video. And, I'm going to come back to this, I'm sure, in the future and be like, you did it. You manifested this. There also is a TikTok creator, and I think her tag is Cherry Lime Soda, and she's very, very motivating. And she talks similar kind of stuff, not exactly the same, but she has her own methods and her own techniques. But she also grew her TikTok follower from nothing to right now. I think she has about 75,000 followers on TikTok, and that was in about 2.5 months. She talks about self-concept stuff. She just decided that's the identity of who she's going to be. Even though in the 3D reality 2.5 months ago, she didn't even have a TikTok account. 0 followers. But she grew that in 2.5 months. Time is an illusion. That's another example of that. But I look up to her because I know for YouTube, I'm making this now. But I know in my other parts of my life that simply deciding on something, it will happen. It will happen. You just have to trust in yourself. So here's your reminder to just simply decide. Decide what it is that you want and have confidence in your decision. Don't let your worries hold you back. Don't overthink it. Just decide on what it is you want and it is done. Trust that it is done. And then what you do from there is you simply embody the state of, if it was done, how would I behave? How would I act? What would I be thinking? Have confidence in yourself. Okay? And you're going to see the 3D reality is going to completely shift and change around you. And one last thing, I don't know how, long these videos are. Usually I just start a video and I just keep recording and ramble and talk. Whatever excites me, I'm going to keep letting it out. I will try to keep these unedited just because it's like in the raw, just giving it to you as it flows through me, because I feel like that's the best way that I can communicate. When it gets heavily edited, I start to overthink things. I start to pause. I'm just trusting. And I want to be an example of that for you. So this is my first video. I'm sure in the future, we're going to all come back to this and see whatever I'm doing today. We're going to see what happens several months from now, several weeks from now, maybe even. Why put a limit on myself, right? I'm not going to put any limit on myself. I just know that I've decided to do this. I'm excited to be here. I hope and I really appreciate if you are here watching to this end. I'm going to probably leave it here because I've talked about it over and over. I'm going to keep drilling it in your head. But today's topic is to decide on what it is that you want to manifest, because you can have anything you want. It will manifest. It can manifest. You just have to embody it, decide on it, embody it. Your reality, 3D circumstances, it doesn't matter. It's going to shift. It's going to change. And we're going to go so much deeper into a lot of these topics over the coming weeks. And I'm so excited to share this with all of you. But for now, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for joining me. Really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys soon.